gay Akita?
Magic carpet ride. She's got a good sense of humor.
Hello, I'm Human Gaming Station. Over the past year, I have worked on a video series called Wednesday. A series where I picked up the NES Classic Edition and played all 30 of the games, attempted to beat them, and made a video in the process. I've had a lot of fun with it, but, you know, it severely stunted the growth of my channel, and I didn't even make back the $60 I spent on that thing. But that's not the point! The point that I'm trying to make is that, well, I played all 30 games, and I want to do a top 30 and rank all 30 of them. Okay, so since this is a top 30, I'm only going to say a couple of sentences about each game. I mean, I've already made full-fledged reviews, so if you want to see that, I'll put a whole list down in the description so you can watch any that you're particularly interested in. Also, I'm going to get really lazy for this review. You know, I've already made the review, so if just a random picture of Miyamoto shows up, just kind of ignore it. I mean, I've already done enough work. I made each review. I put on a tux. I even put on cummerbund. I don't like wearing cummerbunds. They're very uncumberful. Oh, that was a terrible pun. Anyway, there's one other thing that I gotta take care of. I got this right here. Just sign my death certificate real quick. You see, these are 30 of the most popular games, and I really hated the bottom 10, and there's some popular games right there, so I'm just, you know, getting ready for my crucifixion. Roll that title card!
Hello, YouTube, and welcome to Human Gaming's Top 30 Games with the NES Classic Edition! An opinion piece. Okay, so I mostly explained the rules in this opening. If I were truly smart, I would have split this into 3 videos and get some of that sweet ad revenue. But hey, who cares? I'll just put a mid-roll ad instead. However, one thing that I find very interesting is that the games are very neatly organized. The bottom 10 were ultimately more frustrating than they were enjoyable. The middle 10 were more mediocre than anything. And the top 10 were actually really fun. Another thing that I find kind of interesting is that the bottom 10 aren't even like the 10 worst. If you've watched my videos, you could probably just call the bottom 10 of this list the top 10 hardest games on the NES Classic Edition. Alright, so if you've watched any of my videos, after my 11th episode, you've probably heard me complain about this game. Out of all of the games, I don't think it's the hardest. There were harder games, but this game is far less forgiving, and the biggest problem was that just plain wasn't fun to play. The controls are awful. The weapons and angles you have at your disposal is a joke. Enemy patterns and everything just make this game a nightmare to play. Even if I did beat this game, they would have expected me to beat it a second time to get the true ending, but I had to quit on the 3rd level because I couldn't beat the boss, even though I hit him in the freaking head over 30 times! Ice Climbers has the worst controls in the entire collection, but at least the game isn't as hard as Ghosts and Goblins. The levels are much more fair, but still, controlling Popo is incredibly hard. I mean, it is an ice game, but when they add in conveyor belts, it gets nasty. But the worst part by far is the guy's jump arc. I didn't realize this while writing the script, but when I was editing the footage, I realized that it is probably the worst jump arc I have ever seen in a video game, but the game does do a pretty good job at hiding it. But after about 10 levels in this game, they resort to just playing, you know what, I wouldn't even call it cheap difficulty. It's just plain weird difficulty. I cannot land on the clouds! Oh, you had better not lay that block down.
How could you do this to me?
Saw this one coming from a mile away. Yep, also near the bottom of the list is this little gem. While I think that Ninja Gaiden is harder than Ghosts and Goblins, it is much better designed. Heck, the first level is a ton of fun, and controlling Ryu is a blast. But the problem comes from the level design and the enemy placements. There are so many enemy placements that just blow my mind. Like, are you being freaking serious with those things right now? Those things, right there. Are you being serious with them? What the flip, dude? Yeah, and if that weren't enough, the final boss is even worse. You see, I set up a suspend point right before the fight, and even with infinity tries, I couldn't manage it. You guys need to get serious with those things.
To my subscribers, and anyone who's enjoyed my content, I just want to say thank you, I'm sorry, and goodbye. But my time has come. I'm going to die, but I won't go down without a fight! Number 27 is...
The Legend of Zelda at 27. Sorry guys, but the original game is a shattered hunk of garbage. There is no sense of direction in this game, and the Dark Nuts, man! The freaking Dark Nuts, man! Oh my gosh, these are the hardest enemies I have ever faced in a video game. Can I say that Ocarina is one of my favorite games? Can I tell you that every single Zelda game will be reviewed on this channel, but you gotta let me live. The first 10 minutes are so much fun. The soundtrack is phenomenal, but the game as a whole, it sucks. So this game would probably be higher on the list if I had friends, but I don't. So this game is one of the earliest beat-em-ups, and it shows. Some of the choices that were made in this game are just plain wonky, and the game has some really cheap stuff in it. A lot of the deaths were instant, and when you only get 4 lives, that's unacceptable! Also, I learned from some screaming monkey in the comments that I could use special moves if I just read the manual. The NES Classic didn't come with a manual, and the game didn't teach you the moves. So as far as I'm concerned, those moves do not exist, and neither should this game. Metroid does not belong in 2017. Just playing this game on my own is the only way I can imagine playing it, but I can't imagine myself playing it for any reason whatsoever. Every single game on this list had a point where I rage quit, but this game was my very first apathy quit. However, much like Zelda, I do plan to take a look at the more modern iterations of this game some point in the future on this channel. I actually had a lot of fun with Donkey Kong Jr. The first level was excellent, the third level was fun, the fourth level was challenging. This game hit all of my buttons, including the button of cheap and broken game design. The second level of this game is just a sick joke. I won't go over it here, but level 2 has 7 unforgivable sins in its game design. If you want to see what they are, you can watch the video. It's only like 7 minutes long. Just click halfway through the video and I'll probably be complaining about, freaking level 2. This game, I don't know, it didn't really do anything to stand out in my mind. I know it was bad, and long, and hard, but compared to the games I put higher on this list, they weren't really any higher. I do remember a feeling of triumph surging through my body when I overcame a lot of the challenges, but I don't remember any highs or lows felt during this game. The only intense emotion I felt while playing Kid Icarus was just an overwhelming and intense confusion of being turned into a freaking eggplant?
An eggplant? A freaking eggplant!
Another game that 2 players would have been a blast with, but, that's because you're hanging out with your friend. This game is just another one where apathy completely takes away any urge you'd have to play it alone. I mean, it's got decent design, but, it's still, it's not that fun. The original Castlevania. Now, this game was a tough one, but usually in a pretty fair way. I mean, there was some stuff that I could not stand, but that feeling of triumph I got when I overcame it, oh, it was amazing. But eventually rage overtook me and I quit on the very last level. I'm torn on placing this game in the bottom 10. I mean, I got 2 very intense feelings from this game. Success and failure. And now we move on to games that I would consider, meh. My run at this game took me about 5 minutes. I mean, those 5 minutes were a lot of fun, especially with the ship capture system. But my runs were, 5 minutes long. I mean, my video review for it was only 3 minutes long. I'm pretty sure that's the shortest video on my channel. I think this game is fun enough to be spared the bottom 10, but not make it much higher. I'm beginning to notice a pattern forming. It took me 2 minutes to beat 3 levels of this game. Once again, super fun amount of time spent playing the game, but when the game has no replay value, it's kind of hard to score high on my list. But this next game, it did take a little while. Okay, so this game took 12 hours for me to quit on. I mean, the 12 hours had some ups and some downs, but it was still 12 hours. This is the only video that I regret cutting short. I wish I had finished the whole thing, because just a chunk makes the whole video feel like a waste. At least from this video, I learned to finish a Final Fantasy game when I start one, and I plan to start at least 2 more. This game is a perfect split of fun versus unfun, because on offense, this game is a blast, and on defense, this game is a slog. Combine that with the undying, raging, burning feeling of complete indifference towards sports, and I feel like this is a good place on the list to leave Tecmo Bowl. Fun song, fun gameplay? Why is it in the middle 10? Maybe because there are some literal impossibilities that sour the experience. I enjoyed my time with Bubble Bobble, but there are some design choices that made the game impossible to overcome. That made me completely lose my tolerance and place this game in the middle section with the other games. Right in the middle of the list for one of the most important games of all time? Seems about right. Somehow, even from the beginning, Nintendo has known exactly how to make games. They went as a trading card company for 100 years, and then they're like, let's get some of that sweet arcade money. Oh, but let's also set the bar for video game quality for 30 years while we're at it. This game is a masterpiece, but it's lacking polish. I'm not blaming Nintendo for that. I'm blaming the fact that this was 1985. The game is fun with a fire flower, but without the fire flower, it's a bit too hard for my liking. Yep, the games in the middle 10 are short games. This is a decent puzzle game, but after you beat one level in it, the only thing you can really do is theorycraft on the world-ending implications of this game. Once again, fun game, but I can't really talk about it for an extended amount of time because there's only one level of game going on. This game is short, this game is fun, but it's also short. Number 12. Finally, a game with some substance. Yeah, this game had a lot of complexity, especially for an 8-bit game. And the use of power-ups? Oh man, you know, Konami used to be the man. And since this was a Konami game, that means that I cheated. And this game is super fun when you cheat, but there still is that inkling in the back of my head. Cheat. Alright, now we're here for the fun games. These are the top 10. Star Tropics was kinda dumb, but, you know, I beat it. I can't say that for all the games. And it was fun! A Legend of Zelda for dumb Western audiences. Hey, perfect! I'm a dumb Western audience, and that's probably why I liked this game. However, this game also loses points because it destroyed some of my posters. And that's definitely the game's fault. Certainly not my dumb Western brain. Okay, so this was the best looking game I reviewed. I mean, that's probably because I played it on a 16-bit console, but I had a lot of fun making that video. Look, Mega Man is an absolute legend, and I think that everyone should play Mega Man. It's exactly what people should think of when they hear video game. You earn lots of different guns, you jump through the stages, and the game slightly leans on the harder side of the fence. But it's all fair difficulty. I like this game a lot. I'm probably gonna have to give Mega Man X a try one of these days, huh? This is a huge game! Seriously, it's the largest NES game that was officially licensed by Nintendo. It's good! I like it, it's brimming with charm, and like Mega Man's fun gameplay loop, it has you switching weapons every few seconds. Actually, Mega Man's ammo limitation makes it so he's much less versatile than Kirby. That's probably why it's higher on the list than Mega Man was. Well, that, and this game has DDD, the king of the show! Okay, so if you watched my Punch-Out video, you may be surprised that it's this high on the list. I raged, I cried, I was not happy while playing this. But man, I loved it! Every one of the characters was oozing with charm. The music was great, and the successes gave me a high like no other. And heck, my video doesn't even have Sandman, Macho Man, or Mike Tyson, so I can ignore the fact they exist and focus on the fun stuff, like the fight against Don Flamenco. Seriously, that second fight was just perfect. The episode I ended the series on. Great level design, great music, great power-ups. Yeah, 6 is a pretty good place to put this game at. This game has a perfect level of challenge because it's the fairest game of all time. It always prepares you for what's to come, and everything it challenges the player with complements the movement options. Heck, this game might be a little unfair, but stacked in the player's advantage because the shotgun exists. Love you, Janine. Did you know that walkthroughs exist? This game would probably be sitting down in the bottom 10 if walkthroughs didn't exist, but hey, they do! And you know, this game is just fun. Heck, when I was playing it, I didn't even know if I was going to give it a positive review, but you know, now that I'm ranking all the games, I'm putting it pretty high on the list. I'm not entirely sure why either. I think the main reason is because whenever I think of Castlevania 2, I remember it with a fondness. So yeah, number 4 spot. Can this preserve my life? I still put a Zelda game in the top 3, because this game with a walkthrough and save states is super fun. The combat is dynamic and exciting. It can be tough at times and cryptic, but I had external factors that melted away all the nonsense. True, I didn't get the pure virgin experience of this game, but the way that I did play it had me wrapped in a blanket of warmth and enjoyment, and that's all I can really ask from a video game. So to explain this, I need you to know what flow is. You know, the zone. There are a lot of videos on this site that talk about it. You know, CJ's What's with the Zone, or Nakey Jakey's Mirror Edge video. They probably explain it the best, but let me super simplify it. Flow is when you completely forget yourself, and in essence is the theory of happiness. Whenever I edit a video, I enter flow. And the reason people love video games so much is because they are tailored to get people into the flow. Balloon Fight can get me into the flow in about 2 seconds. The controls are so perfect, and I become one with Balloon Fight Man. And that is amazing. Super Mario Bros. 2 is the king of Donkey, and it's definitely the king of me, baby! Leader of the NES all the way! Chet, did you put this part here just so you could rip off Donkey?
Yeah.
But I will still defend it as the game of the year. The controls are perfect, the length is brilliant, and Peach's hover ability is never not fun.
So, that is my top 30 games for the NES Classic Mini Edition, or you know, whatever they call it. I've had a lot of fun with this little gray box, but I do believe it is finally time to retire the thing. Wow. A whole year devoted to this thing. You know, I've had some fun, but I'm glad to finally be done with it. It feels like shackles are broken. I can review whatever I want! No! 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 No!
Hey everyone, thanks for watching my stupid video all the way to the end. I will be doing a series for the Super Nintendo, Wednesday Day, but I'm also going to be doing other videos on my channel that I'm really excited for and would just love to show you. So subscribe if you want to see those. I also have an update video where I'm going to be explaining everything that I'm going to be doing on this channel going forward. Go ahead and check that out, you know, if you care at all. Also on the screen, I'll put a link to the Wednesday playlist and Halo 2. That was a pretty good video.